The thing that I embrace about my uniqueness and those who are also unique when it comes to having the ability to think for themselves. If you are the type of person, the type of young man who think for yourself, regardless if it goes against the decision of everyone else in the room, if you are the standalone young man who says, I'm gonna make my decisions based on my moral compass, I'm gonna make my decisions based on my experience in life or based on what makes sense to me the most. So if the mass majority of the people who are in the room with me or whatever the case may be says, I want to go left, if you say going right feels right for me, then kudos to you. Shout out to you. You are definitely deemed as a leader. And so as we hop into the topic of this video, I remember being asked a very, very common question that I know a lot of people get asked. If you were younger, if you were in your 20s, if you could go back to your younger years, your younger days, your 20-year-old version of yourself, are there things that you would change about yourself? And I used to say what sounds to be the right thing to say, what's favorable, what's honorable or sounds honorable. I used to say what I'm sure a lot of you guys hear and maybe even say yourself. I'm not judging, I'm just saying for me, I think different now. I used to say, if I could go back on my 20s, there's nothing that I would change because, of course, as we know, comment below. And of course, come through with your comments as well. Weigh in on this. How do you feel about it? But I used to say, there's nothing that I would change about myself because, of course, that version of myself is what contributed to me being the version of myself that I am today. That person who I was in my 20s, whatever mistakes that I've made, it led me to this person who I am today. So no, I wouldn't change anything that I've done in my 20s, any mistakes, particularly that I've done in my 20s. And so I have to digress on that. The mentality of saying there's nothing I would change. I have to digress on that. And the older I get, the more experienced in life I get, I said, you know what? The reason why I'm pondering on it so much and the reason why I've decided to make a different stance or have a different stance on it is because, you know what? It's okay for me to say I absolutely would go back and make a few changes in my 20s. I absolutely would have done things different in my 20s. If I could have done some things that, even when it comes to self-sabotaging, the things that I knew was wrong, mistakes that I made, I can't at this point in my life look back and say that I'm okay with those decisions. Not that they were horrible, not that I did anything that was crazy, but at the same time, I knew in some ways when it comes to some of those mistakes, some of those behaviors, I acted out of being immature. I acted out of saying, you know what, I'm gonna do the wrong thing. When your parents say don't go down that street because, you know, it's just not the block that you belong on. When your parents say don't go down there, it's nothing but bad news. You absolutely heard the advice that your parents may have given you, or someone in your circle, some adult in your life have given you. And what do? We go down that road anyway. For some reason, it's even more enticing when you're younger, when you're 20. If you're 20, you know what I mean? It's even more enticing when someone tells you not to touch that hot stove. Something says, I want to learn how hot it actually is. And then you go and touch the stove. Sometimes you may not burn yourself because the stove is not on. And once you realize that the stove is on, you burn yourself and say, you know what? I wish I didn't touch that hot stove. But yet the lesson is learned, right? Yet the lesson has been learned in that moment. However, what if you have taken the advice of the wise counsel? When someone told you, I'm going to catch you up to speed by way of letting you know what to look out for. If you go down that block, it's bad news. If you touch that stove, it's hot. You will burn yourself. And so if I know that I was already advanced enough, educated enough at those stages of my life where people told me not to touch those hot stoves and I did it anyway, I was already educated. I was already up to par. I didn't need to see how hot the stove was to see how many other people took those risks to see how hot the stove was and to come back in return and say, you know what, that stove is hot. Please don't touch it. But we have to see how hot the stove is. We have to be so curious to go down that block that we've been warned to not travel. We have been warned about going down that block. We have to figure out what is so peculiar about going down that block that they tell you not to go down that block. And then boom, you go, you experience it. And then next thing you know, at some point in your life, you either get away from that block or you get lost in that block. You can get lost from those lessons and those mistakes when they warn you, when your internal compass is guiding you and telling you, but you go down that block and touch that stove anyway. Some people get a chance to grow up and make a YouTube video about the mistakes, some people may not return from those mistakes that they've made. And so fortunately, I'm one of them ones who made it out. I'm one of them ones who grew to a point in my life where I'm like, you know what? Even more as I advance, I'm like, yeah, if there were some things that I could have changed growing up, I absolutely could point out certain things that I 100% would have changed. Yeah. And I stand on that. Reason being is because it would have saved me a lot of frustration, a lot of trial and error. We only get one life in which we have a time block that has our name on it, in which we don't know the end. We don't know when it ends. We don't know the time that God returns his home. We don't know. It's almost like money, not to compare time with money because it's really not the same thing, but just the analogy is what I want to use for this example. If you have $100 in your pocket, now let's up it. Let's up the ante. If you have, let's say, $100,000 in your account, right? Then obviously, and if you're 20 right now and you're watching this, then I'm going to definitely encourage this. If you have $100,000 in your account, then I would strongly encourage you to do everything within your power to not only retain it, but to grow it, as opposed to spend it, as opposed to using it in ways to where your money is not growing, as opposed to using it in ways to where you're not leveraging growth from what you have. So absolutely, if I could go back, you got to understand, in this one life that we have, if you're burning your money, if you have $100,000 and you're burning your money, in which at some point in your journey, you realize you've been making that mistake to where now you may have only 10 grand left in your account, money can be made again, but time cannot be made up again. So if you could have learned from that mistake and did it right the first time, then you could be sitting at 200K right now. You could be sitting at 500K right now. You could be sitting at $1 million right now. You could be sitting at $500 million right now if you use your money wisely. So yeah, absolutely. If I can go back when it came to a lot of the things that I could have avoided and used that time wisely to elevate me and catapult me and advance me to make the best of this block of time of life that I have, absolutely, I would have gone back to do things different. That said, let's get into this video. I have my phone and I'm going to share with you guys 3 things that I want to help you if you're 20. If you're making these mistakes in your 20s, and I want to give you 3 things that I strongly believe can help redirect your decisions that you make in your life and help you on your path of purpose and becoming the greatest version of yourself, young men. And of course, we have women who also watch our channel as well, and we encourage you as well. All right. So if I were 20 again, here's what I'd do different. Number 1, I would begin everything, and I mean everything, with the end in mind. Let me elaborate on that. If I could start everything, and that's not just one thing, that's pretty much everything, I would begin with the end in mind. See, in life, the reality is when it comes to our walk of life, we can't really control the outcome per se. See, reality is you cannot control the outcome, but what you can do is control the controllables, your decisions that can contribute to a better outcome, or an outcome that you project, an outcome that puts you in a position that you ultimately want to be, an outcome that favors you depending on the decisions that you make. Again, nothing can guarantee you the position that you want to be in. Nothing can guarantee you success. Nothing can be guaranteed in your life, no matter what decisions that you make, for the simple fact that you cannot control the external beings, the external forces. When it rains, you can't control that, but what you can do is control how you go about it. What you can do is dress appropriate for the weather and continue to keep going about your day. Continue to keep working on your you project. What you can do is control the decisions that you make, the output that you put out there into the universe. But again, you cannot control the outcome, but what you can do is set up the play for your life. What you can do is move with intention. What you can do is move calculated. That'll put you in a favorable position to potentially be in the best case scenario, to potentially be in the best possible position that you want to be in. What you can do is attract what it is that you want. What you can do is attract the position that you want to be in later on in life. When you're intentional about your moves in life, your movement in life, your motion and decisions in life. Not to go too far off the deep end, but to reel it in and to make my point is, for instance, once upon a time, I wanted to be a personal trainer. in which that's the lane that I traveled, right? And so, of course, as you evolve, things are going to constantly change. Your goal is not to stay the same, but to sharpen your craft and to become better at whatever it is that you're doing and pursuing in life. So, of course, things are going to change. And so what I did was, what I'm going to do is share with you guys a few mistakes that I've made to prevent you. I went through it so that you don't have to go through it. If you're in pursuit of a personal training certificate or any certificate of whatever it is that you're pursuing or whatever it is that you're pursuing in general, you can use this information. What I did was I only thought about what I wanted to do in the moment. I did not think about down the road. I didn't think about what I wanted to do 10 years later. I thought that I wanted to only be a personal trainer for the rest of my life, just like my rap career. I didn't realize, like, when I started rapping and I was really good at it, I only focused on being a rapper. I didn't think about, do you really think that you're going to still want to be a rapper when you turn 30? Do you really think that you're still going to be a rapper, have a rap career when you're 35 or when you're 40? Do you really think you're going to be ambitious to still be behind the mic and record music when you turn 50? I'm not 50 yet. I'm not 50 yet, but if I thought about that when I started my rap career, if I thought about that, and I know I switched over to rap because I think that's a better analogy, but when I was 20, I didn't think that far down the road. I didn't think about, do you really think that you'll be wanting to still rap when you're 50? And if I would have asked myself that question when I was 20, I'd have been like, no, there's no way that I would still want to pursue rap at 50 or 60. And so in the moment, it was a good idea, and it's not to take away your talents or whatever it is that you're pursuing, but this goes to the point of my video. Do what you're doing right now. It's okay to pursue what you're pursuing right now. And perhaps what it is that you're pursuing right now is the way that you retire. I'm just saying, think about how you want to retire. Think about where you want to be 20 years from now. Think about how successful you want to be 20 years from now, the position you want to be in 20 years from now. Think about where you want to be when you're on the cusp of having the conversations of retirement, how successful you want to be, and how are you going to get there? And that goes with the point that I'm making. Begin your journey with the end in mind. Travel your journey, have your fun, do what you're doing. If you want to be a personal trainer, that's fine. But do you want to retire a personal trainer? Do you want to make that your side job at some point? Do you want to, at some point, establish an online personal training business? Do you want to have several gyms? Like, think about the end result while you're en route of what it is that you're doing right now. Think about the future version of yourself while you're doing it. That way you'll have better direction. That way you'll have better direction. That way you'll have better clarity while you're in pursuit right now of what it is. Your vision will be even more magnified when you're thinking about what you want to do later on. Just as much time and energy that you're putting into what you're doing right now, I promise you, you'll see it a lot more clear when you're thinking about your future self and you're beginning with the end goal in mind. It'll give you better clarity. It'll make your vision look a lot more clear to you. Your vision will be a lot more clear, and your path, you'll know more of what you want when you begin with the end in mind. If I were in my 20s, what I would do different is I would start my journey of trying to discover my purpose in life. Point number 2, what I would do different in my life in my 20s is I would begin my voyage of trying to find my life purpose, figure out my life purpose. The reason why God got me here on this earth, I will be trying to figure that out at 20. That said, when I was 20, I didn't have any direction. I didn't know what my purpose was. I didn't even understand that there was a such thing called purpose and being on one. I didn't get it until later on in life. And so I know if that was me, there's someone that's 20 right now that's watching this who may feel the same exact way. So if I were you, learn from my mistakes, or should I say learn from my ignorance, learn from what it is that I wasn't doing at 20 that I may encourage you to do now at 20, because it is going to do a lot in your favor when it comes to being on your purpose and how it's going to project you to the man that you want to be later in life. On top of that, finding your purpose, discovering your purpose, being on your mission is going to raise your vibration levels. You're going to become more sparked up. You're going to become more energetic. You're going to become more vibrant, more urgent in your life. Finding yourself saying, you know what, let me start getting up at 5 in the morning. See, with no purpose. What's the purpose of waking up at 5 in the morning? It's easy to sit there, lay there. Of course, that's what we want to do naturally. But when you have purpose in your life, you're going to start kicking and scratching and looking for time to be able to start working on your purpose, because you're going to realize that you have an assignment that God has given you. And you're going to realize all of what you have to get done and how much time you have within a day. When you couple getting to your purpose along with the other tasks and duties that you have within your life, going to work, having homework, you got to understand where you're 20, you're starting to walk into responsibilities. You're walking in a world that's going to kick and pull and scratch and grab you and try to discourage you from being on your purpose or pursuing purpose in general. The world is going to have their own agenda, hoping that you fall victim to their agenda. But this is your time and absolutely your opportunity to start making the attraction about you, to start devoting to yourself and committing to yourself and being intentional, going against that pull, and start walking with your purpose and start talking to God and asking God to redirect your steps and to direct your steps in general. And it may not come at once. I'm not going to say you're going to figure it out all at once. It may require time. Some people may get it earlier than later. Everybody's chapter is different. Everybody's book of life and walk of life is different. I'm just saying be intentional about discovering your purpose and trying to find your purpose in life. Once you find your purpose, then the dreams that you have will be aligned with your purpose. You got to understand, even if you have dreams now, without purpose, there's no direction. Without purpose, there's no clarity for your dreams. Without purpose, it's like being hungry, knowing that you need to go to the store to go grab some food, to grab a bite to eat, but you have no idea where the store is. You have a hunger called purpose. You have a dream that's tied to your purpose. The purpose is the store. Your dream is what it is that you desire. The only difference is you're hungry to win at life. You're hungry to advance at life. You're hungry to be on your dreams and follow your dreams, but you don't know where the freaking store is. The store is where you're going to find your dreams, bro. The store is called purpose, and God is the one who navigates you, who will show you where that store is, to go find your dream and make that dream come to life, to manifest your dream. Without finding your purpose, then you have a disadvantage when it comes to fulfilling your dream. Let me say that again. Without finding your purpose, you can have a dream. We dream all day, but without finding your life purpose, then you are at a disadvantage when it comes to your pursuit of life because you're missing things. You're going to miss a lot. You're going to fall short because you really can't prepare yourself in advance and really maximize your dreams when you're following your purpose. So I encourage you to not miss out on your full potential by finding your purpose in your life and tie it to your dream. Again, your purpose is attached to your dream. God gave you that dream for a reason, but he also gave you purpose. Go digging for it, go looking for it, and make sure in your 20s you are intentional about finding your purpose if you haven't done so already. Number 2, this is where purpose comes in play when it comes to considering the end goal in mind. If we want to maximize our abilities, maximize our dreams, our gifts, what God gives us, then we want to make sure that this path that we're walking is constructed with purpose. It's giving you direction. We want to make sure that we know exactly where we're going. We have a better sense of direction when it comes to beginning with the end in mind. Now we're doing it with a sense of purpose, which will allow you to maximize your dream, which will allow you to get the best fruit from out of that orange, extract the best fruit from out of that orange, extract the best gift that God has given you, because you are now leveled up to where now I am moving with a sense of purpose. I am moving with purpose. I am now moving in purpose on purpose, getting to the end goal. I am making sure that as I get to the end goal, God is connected to that because my dreams is connected to my purpose. My purpose is now connected to this road that I'm traveling. My purpose is this road that I'm traveling. And so now I get a chance to really, really max out on my opportunities to expand everything that God has given me, to utilize every force that God has given me, everything that God has given me, every weapon that he's given me to destroy the enemy in this process, every opportunity to now seek abundance in my life, seek abundance with my dreams, because now I have purpose attached to this. Now I have God attached to this. I can't lose. I can't lose. I have the superpower now. I have clarity now. I have direction now. I have vision now. So yeah, I have the superpower because now I have God attached to my assignment. I'm not just trying to figure it out on my own. I know where to go. I'm hungry. God has showed me where the store is, and now I have a direct path. It's just like how I go about my life. I don't leave the house unless there is a purpose of me leaving the house. If I'm not going to get to any money, if I'm not going to the grocery store, if I'm not going on vacation, then what's the point of being out? Something that I had to learn from my 20s. I used to be the complete opposite. That's why I'm sharing with you in your 20s right now. If you're going outside without any intentions, I'm encouraging you to stay inside and work on your life purpose. Advance yourself by working on your life purpose and building yourself right now. Start building your life project right now. Stay in the house, bro. You ain't missing nothing. Those clubs, you're not missing nothing. Those friends, those fake friends, you're not missing nothing. I'm not saying don't have friends. I'm not saying don't hang with your family. I'm not saying just completely isolate yourself from the world. I'm saying choose your time wisely, choose your friends wisely, choose your walk of life wisely, choose your choices wisely. Be more intentional when it comes to what it is that you're doing in your life, and make sure that you add purpose to your walk of life, connected with God when it comes to pursuing your dreams. And oh my goodness, your superpowers become available when you attach everything that I just mentioned. in your pursuit of life, bro. So I'm not going to drag it on anymore. We're going to get on to 3. I just wanted to make sure that you guys understood the importance of those 2 tips. Tip number 3 is to make sure that you develop routines. Now that we know what we want to do, now that we've attached purpose to it, what you want to do is develop routines, and you want to be consistent. And it may seem boring. Doing the work that requires routine and consistency, it may seem boring at times. It may seem irrelevant at times. It may seem redundant at times. It may seem like you're not making progress at times. But trust me when I tell you, when you build a routine and you're locked in on it and you're focused and you're pushing and pushing and pushing, even when it does not look like it, even when it does not appear so, trust me, you are getting the results. You just can't see it in the moment, just like going to the gym. You're not going to go to the gym, bro, and get instant gratification. You're not going to have big muscles no matter how hard you push. You're not going to lose all the weight in one day no matter how much you push, no matter how hard you push, not even within a week. But it's working over time, just like water in a garden. It's growing over time. You're just not going to see it in the moment. It doesn't work like that. When it comes to this pursuit, when it comes to being on your purpose, being on your mission, you got to understand that this is the long game. This is the long grind. You win later. You win along the way. You win as you build. You win by the bricks that you build, the foundation that you build along the way. This is the long game. You win by the work that you put in every single day. You see the results over a period of time, not a period of a night. So it's going to require patience in this process. But in order to put yourself in the best position possible, build that routine, create that routine, and be consistent and go hard. Go hard, go crazy. Remove all distractions, anything that interrupts your consistent workflow, your consistent behavior, anything that gets in your way, because you will be tempted. The moment that you want to pursue something, you will be tempted. That's when the spirit of distraction is there most. That's when temptation is there most. If you decide to start dieting, when you go to the store, you're going to see pizza. You're going to see fresh pizza. As a matter of fact, I was just in the grocery store the other day, just leaving the gym. When I left the gym, I was hungry. And the first thing I saw, and just about everything I saw in the store, was pizza. And of course, I wanted it. You're going to want to give in. You're going to want to cave in. But this is where you decide, nah, I am going to remain consistent on my journey. Nah, this is where your character shows. This is where your desire shows up. This is where the how bad you want it version of yourself shows up. If you make the decision to eat the pizza, you have 2 choices. You can choose to eat the pizza and have the setback. That hour and a half that you spent in the gym, wasted. That hour that you spent on the treadmill, wasted. I'm not going to say it was pointless to go to the gym, but what I will say is it was wasted. Another setback. You have to do it all over. However, you can prepare yourself by not eating a pizza and opting with something healthier that will advance you, that will place you further up the road, get you closer to your goals. And that's the reason why you want to develop routines, because sometimes you can go in to the gym or go into your plan or whatever, and without having a routine, you could think, what's wrong with me eating that pizza? I just went to the gym. I'm good. I just burnt 150 calories, not realizing that the slice of pizza that you're eating is 300 calories. If your goal is to lose weight, then you don't realize that without a routine, without knowing what to eat, how to actually appropriately diet, or how many calories you need in order for you to stay in a deficit, because you don't have a routine. You don't have a system set up in your favor. So that's the importance of having some guidance, a routine, and then committing by being consistent and walking it out, even when it don't look like you're winning. Believe me, what you do the most, eventually you will attract. So just be patient with yourself and just keep going. It's not going to feel good all the time, but just be patient with yourself and keep going, and you will eventually win. If you be in the barbershop, hang in the barbershop long enough, eventually you will get a cut. Eventually it will be your turn when the barber says next. And then the barber will eventually tighten you up. When you go to the barbershop, you don't know how many people are ahead of you. But if you stay there long enough, eventually you will get a cut. So you have to be patient in this journey, develop routines in this journey, and you have to make sure that you're consistent, and you will win without a doubt. You just got to keep going. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Peace and blessings. One love. Strength.